So I have a bit of a headache. So if you don't get the same energy that you usually do for me, that's what it's about. Let's talk about games. Specifically, let's talk about the recent gaming experience that I had, and I'd like to share with you all. So, as you can see here, I've got a tweet, and the tweet says, I took a portal to a friend's house last night. It was 50 plus kilometers away from my house, and I streamed it flawlessly. Okay, flawlessly. We played Cult of the Lamb, Lost Legacy, Overcooked 2. We also played Raji, an Ancient Epic, but that we didn't play that much. It had no discernible lag. And then my friend, he played for 3 hours non-stop, even though he had to go to work the next day, and it was a late night. So great friend. Yeah, the portal is a fucking great accessory, man. That's what I truly believe. And over here, I kind of showed some visuals of him actually playing. This one he's playing Lost Legacy over here. I've had a bunch of what is it, haters on Twitter try to tell me that there's like so much lag visible and everything, but we the people who were there in real life, actually playing on the thing, we didn't perceive any lag. So you know what, you just gotta ignore the haters because that's really all they're about. But yeah, as you can see here from the intensity of my friend, he was swearing up and down playing this game, and he was having great fun. So that's what I wanted to start with because at the end of the day, we are here to play games. I'm not even going to go through the comments or anything like that. It's not really that kind of a video. But yeah, it was fun. It was just fun to show my friend he's a gamer, but he doesn't get a lot of chance to play. Like he's got a PlayStation 5 of his own and everything else. And I just wanted to share my love of games with him. And the fact that I could bring this portal along and be like, oh, try this game. Connect to my PS5. I don't have to sign into his account and then go and fetch my app in order to authenticate anything. Then you have to wait for the downloads, which in Australia, that is a huge issue because most of our internet, by the time you download the game, man, like especially big games, you might be 2 hours in. Like it's not fun. It completely slows down your momentum. So being able to share that experience, I was so impressed. I was impressed at the portal. I was impressed at the experience that it delivered. I was impressed by the ease of which, the seamlessness through which I could just be like, yeah, try this game, like, because he's played Uncharted 4, but he's never played Lost Legacy. So I was like, well, you've got to try Lost Legacy now. So, dude, he was hooked. And literally, I remember he was so hooked into the game, and I've already played Lost Legacy that I just kind of let him vibe out with it for a while. I just put on a show on his TV, and I was just catching up to this show. I've been watching Culinary Class Wars. It's like a Korean cooking show. I don't know what it is about this show, but I absolutely love it. Like I was just like, oh my god, I love this. I love more of it. It's one of those reality TV shows that I really wish is like honest and actually good, and this is actually like a fair contest, not just something that is like scripted up and down. But yeah, so for like a good 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I was just watching the show and occasionally glancing over to see how he was progressing. But he was hooked, man. Like he was playing through the cutscenes. He was, playing the actual game. He was, adventuring out there with Chloe and Nadia, whatever. And he was just having a great time. He was just having a great time on the portal, and it was fantastic. So that experience, I think, single handedly made me more excited about the portal than I've ever been. Because it's one thing to be able to play your own games yourself, it's another thing to be able to introduce games to a person and be like, yeah, there it is. My friend is also married, and his wife is also a gamer. So I also had her try the portal, but she was tired. She had to go to bed, so she didn't, vibe out with it as much. But still, it was a fantastic experience. So if you already have a portal, I highly recommend that you just take it with you to places where there are other gamers, and I think you have a great time. Um, and then, if you are thinking about getting a portal, please remember that you can check its connectivity, whether you're at home or outside of it. by just using the devices that are already around you. Your PC, your laptop, your tablet, your mobile phone, all of those can connect to remote play and allow you to test it with your own connection, with your own environment, without you spending a single dime. So again, I am a big proponent of the portal now, and in fact, after having that experience, I feel more gung ho than ever to recommend it. But again, don't go into it hesitating as to whether or not it will work for you, because it is a streaming device, So go ahead, use the remote play functionality on the devices you already have, and then only if that is a good experience should you then go ahead and invest something like a portal. Because the last thing I want you to do is invest in something that you're not going to use. So yeah, anyways, that was my little portal story, my little gaming story, and I thought it would be a fun way to start. Because today I want to talk about games. Specifically, I want to talk about games I've beat. So here is, no, not games I've beat. Let me put it this way. Games that I have played this year, okay? So, all right, let me, you know what? Let's take the spreadsheet off screen. Let's just kind of like rewind back to the start of the year and my approach to gaming this year. At the start of the year, if you've been on the channel for a while, you would have seen the video where I basically said like this year is going to be my backlog year. I was going to do as much as possible to not spend a single dime on games, okay, and to simply play the games I already own, because I just think that between PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Plus Extra, the games that I've bought and I haven't played and everything like that, I just thought, you know what? It's too much. There are too many games in my backlog that are literally just waiting for me. I think at the time I had something like 50 games that I put in a collection on my PlayStation that was literally just called the backlog. Now, I cannot tell you that I've played and beat every single one of those games. I can't even tell you that I've tried every single one of those games. But what I have done is I have at least assessed a lot of games this year as to whether or not I'd be interested. So when I take a look at the games that I tried this year, I see a lot of games that I only play for 20 or 30 minutes because I just didn't vibe with. So for this list specifically, what I did is that the minimum cutoff was 4 hours, okay? And I'm rounding this up or down depending on the playtime. So minimum of 4 hours. These are not necessarily games that I have beat. These are simply games that I've played for a minimum of 4 hours. They have to be games that I started playing this year, and they have to be games they're not necessarily games that came out this year. Okay, again, because this was a backlog year, quite a few of them came, in previous years, and I'm just getting to them. And still, there's more games that I want to play, things like Cuphead and everything like that, I at least want to give them a go. So yeah, that's kind of I think that's everything you need to know to kind of make sense of this list. So let's bring it back up on screen. So over here, we're just going to take a look at the left one. These are the same list that are just duplicated. The left one has it arranged from alphabetical order, and then the right list over here has it arranged from largest amount of playtime to the lowest. So there are a few games here that will not appear even though I played them this year. Things like God of War Ragnarok, not going to appear. Things like Returnal, not going to appear. Things like Horizon Forbidden West, which I again put a ridiculous amount of time in this year because I just absolutely love that game. That is also not going to appear. So yeah, let's take a look at what we have. So we have After Party, Arise, Astrobot, Cat Quest 2. I think over here, Cat Quest is someone who recommended it to me. I think I was on 60 frames no lag, and they were like, "Here, play Cat Quest," and I was like, "Cat Quest," and they were like, "Nah, it's actually good," and turns out it's actually good. So shout out to you. Concord. What a lovely game. What a one. I miss Concord. I do. Okay. Cult of the Lamb, Dave the Diver, Immortals of Avium, Need for Speed Heat, Nobody Saves the World. I suppose I should also talk about whether I beat these games actually. But we'll come back to it. Omno, Raji and Ancient Epic. I think I'm gonna beat this one. Sable, Sackboy Big Adventure, Scarlet Nexus, Spiritfarer, Tales of Arise, Tales of Kanzara, Zao, The Gardens Between, The Outer Worlds, and Tunic. Okay, so let's go back up and let's talk a little bit about if I beat it, how much I enjoyed it. Okay, so I didn't put any ratings on this because it's not really that kind of a discussion today. So let's just go ahead. After Party, yes, I beat it. Do I recommend it? Yes, it's a fun little thing, but it's a bit like Life is Strange. It's mostly like text dialogue box. If you see the trailer, it's exactly what you're gonna see there. Arise. I haven't beat this yet, but this was simply because I had just come off of playing Spiritfarer, and it has very similar themes about death and acceptance and letting go and so on and so forth. And yes, Spiritfarer just kind of delivered that message in a stronger way for me. So I haven't beat it, and I probably won't beat it this year, but it is a good game, and I'll probably split. I will probably beat it in the future. Astrobot, yes, this is my game of the year. I suppose I should like highlight that in gold or something. You know what? Why not? Let's just put that in gold because this is my game of the year, and we'll be talking about game of the year discussions. That's a little bit abrasive, you know. Oh Jesus Christ, that's it's a little bit too highlighted yellow. You know what? Let's try and find something a bit more goldish. Goldish. Let's go for something. Yeah, I think something like that. There we go. That's a little bit better. Actually, that's a lot better. Okay. Cat Quest. Yes, I've beat it. I Platinum did this one as well. Cat Quest 2 did the same. I enjoyed them. I did play them back to back though. So that's our 26 hours in these experiences. And Cat Quest 2 felt kind of long. And it was also Cat Quest 2 is a co-op game, but I didn't have anyone to play co-op with. So I think it would have been a lot of fun in co-op. So I definitely recommend playing Cat Quest 2 in co-op. I think that'll just be a lot better for the length of the game because it just felt a little bit long when I was by myself. But I played them back to back. So then Cat Quest 3, I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna play this because I've just had a little bit too much cat questing. Concord, you can't beat it because it's a multiplayer game because Sony removed it from the store and disinstalled it and everything like that. So there's lots of reasons why I couldn't beat this game. But I enjoyed Concord. I really, really did. It was a traditional multiplayer experience. I thought the world was fascinating. I couldn't believe how much world building and lore they had created already for that world. So again, I desperately want a single player Concord game. I think people will look at Concord the way that they look at Guardians of the Galaxy, the way they look at Forspoken, the way they look at these kind of games that came by and were super hated by the crowd. But then when people go back in, they're like, wait a second, this is a good game. So I think that that will be the single player. Do I think they should bring the multiplayer back? No. I don't think they should bring the multiplayer back. I think like once you pull that kind of plug in the way that Sony did it, I just think that it's like just stay away. Just stay away. But as a single player experience, I think it has a lot to offer. Potentially. Cult of the Lamb, yes, I've beaten it. Even though now I've this cause it's kind of more to do after you beat the I guess the main five, the big bad guy. After the big bad guy, there's a little bit more that you can do again, in order to make that work. So I haven't finished it, I suppose. But the thing with Cult of the Lamb is that while I love the game and I think it is made by an Australian company studio, my thing with the game is that it just has a lot of bugs. It just has a lot. Like the other day, when I gave the game over to my friend so he could try it, and he really enjoyed it. But the dodge roll wasn't working, and this isn't like something related to the portal. It's literally like I've had this happen in my own experience in front of the TV on the PS5, where sometimes you go into the dungeons and dodge roll just doesn't work. Other times you try to load out of the game or load into the game and then that doesn't work, and then you have to like quit to the main menu, or you have to restart the game from like the PS5 UI home screen thing. So yeah, it just has a few bugs that they just sort out. But I put 41 hours in there, so I do enjoy it. Dave the Diver. This one will definitely be again like a game of the year contender. You know what? So we're gonna highlight this in like a nice dark green. We're gonna go for something like that's a bit too dark, isn't it? You know what? Let's go ahead and just lighten this up a little bit. Just give it a little bit of that. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Dave the Diver is definitely up there. I will highlight Cult of the Lamb too. You know what? We'll come back to that. Immortals of Avium. So I tried Immortals of Avium this year, and I can see what they were going for, but it's funny because it's like I saw BG's video, right? Broken Games HDR, and he says something about like double A games that try too hard to be triple A games, and that is. As soon as he said that, I thought immediately about Immortals of Avium because that is exactly what it is. Immortals of Avium is at its core, it's a double A game, but it tries so hard to do like triple A things, and I was like, why are you trying to do this? For example, your base of operations. I have never been more confused by a base of operation. I don't know where I'm going. I have no idea what links to what. I have this problem in Hogwarts as well, Hogwarts Legacy. But Hogwarts Legacy is actually like a huge castle, so it kind of makes sense that I don't know where I'm going because I'm not like a Hogwarts fan. But there is like a logical layout to where everything is in Hogwarts. But for this one, Immortals of Avium, the keep or the castle or wherever they're staying, the tower, it's awful. I hate that space. I hate finding my way around it. And that's just one little aspect. Then they have like super over the top presentation. And by over the top, I mean they have like really good AAA presentation with expensive, actors and voice actors. But it doesn't add to the story, and the story tries to be something way grander than it could ever put off. And when again BG was talking about how these games should limit themselves in their scope, man, it just kept ringing bells. Like just every time it was like a gong was going off because I just kept thinking Immortals of Avium, Immortals of Avium, Immortals of Avium. If they had made Immortals of Avium something that you could beat in 15 hours with a much tighter scope and not try to expand too much into the universe, maybe made it kind of like a Mass Effect one. Not in terms of size of the world, but in terms of like the scope of the story. And then they just be like, yeah, this is what it is. And then, come back for more if you want it. I think they would have done a lot better, even with the AAA presentation. But they really tried to be something they were not, and they just didn't have the budget to pull off the vision. They should have narrowed the scope and been more focused about what it is that they were doing. Because while that money went into presentation, it also felt very generic. Like it's just like the world itself doesn't feel alive because everything kind of had to look good and high resolution in AAA, but you didn't put any characters that I like in it. You didn't put any life into the world, and so it's like you miss the fundamentals, because you were trying. It's a little bit like if you went to someone's house and had really really good table setting, like just amazing table setting, like you're like wow, like I don't expect like a 29-year-old recent graduate to have such lavish table settings and dinner sets and dinner plates. But at the end of the day, there was barely any food, and then the food that they did give you is like finger food or sausages or something like that, and you're like, maybe you should have just had a basic level table setting, not try to be so grandiose, with like candelabras and everything like that, and chandeliers and all of these things. Maybe you should have just had a reasonable table setting and then decent food, and then I would have liked it and I would have come back next year. But now you hit me with all of this fancy stuff. You drew my expectations way too high than you could compensate, and then it's like you realize that you couldn't cook or you didn't have time to cook. You didn't have time to actually do the proper thing you were supposed to do. That's Immortals of Avium, and so that was a good little touch point to something that I heard recently from BG. Okay, Need for Speed Heat. I This is gonna sound strange, yeah, but I played Gran Turismo 7, and I think I've even played it this year, maybe. And I think I've got like 68 hours in Gran Turismo 7, and there's a logic to what you do in Gran Turismo 7 because it's a simcade kind of game. That just doesn't exist in an arcade racer, and so I was kind of just bored by Need for Speed Heat because I'm like, I don't really have to think too much. I don't have to think as hard. I'm not as engaged by the driving experience. And then I think they had like a whole story going on, and I just didn't care. So it is what it is. I think I will keep playing it in the future though. Once kind of like I could play this on the portal. Like again, I'll probably play it in the future because it's a good game. I just didn't really care for it. Okay, Nobody Saves the World. I truly enjoyed this one. It's cool. It's one of those games where you have a whole bunch of dungeons. You can make it into a boss rush even. There's a whole world around it. It has good comedy, it has good humor. I enjoyed it. One thing that I don't enjoy though is that you get a platinum, you have to beat it twice, and I'm finding the second one super tedious. So there is that. Omno. Omno probably has to be one of the games I enjoy the most. It's a very short game, 4 hours, and I'm pretty sure it's just a platinum. But it's not a BS game. It's one of those games that people just beat it just to get a platinum. It is an actual game, And I recommend it. I highly recommend it. It's very peaceful, very chill, very quiet. It's a little bit like Journey. It's like a relaxing game. It's a podcasting game. It's a quiet, peaceful game. So I really enjoy that. Very beautiful art. Raji and Ancient Epic. I'm playing this game now. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the Hindu uh, culture. Is it Hindu or Hindi? Whatever. I'm enjoying like the Indian culture and everything. However, I do not like the combat. The combat is actually pretty good and pretty advanced. It just has no precision, and the enemy AI is tuned in a way to highlight the flaws of the combat system rather than to actually be enjoyable. But we'll get through it. Sable. Yeah, so Raji I'm playing now, by the way. I haven't dropped it yet. I'm just playing through it. Sable is a game that I did drop, and I dropped it because it had too many bugs, and it had like really strange frame stuttering and frame pacing issues, low frame rate for a game that should just never really have that. The story again is okay, but it's not really that compelling. So it is what it is. I've dropped it. I think I might get back to it like a year or two from now because I actually do need them to fix the technical issues. But it's mostly the technical issues that put me off the game. Otherwise, it's a little bit like a Omno in that it's much more peaceful and relaxing than anything else. But yeah, just technical issues is a bit of a drawback. Sackboy Big Adventure. So I haven't beat it yet. And Sackboy is a game that I played co-op, and I'm only gonna play it co-op. It's so much fun co-op that I feel like it's a shame to even imagine myself playing this by myself. I see this as a co-op game, and since I don't have that many opportunities to play the game co-op, that's why I haven't beat it yet. Okay, we have Scarlet Nexus. So Scarlet Nexus over here has been is a super enjoyable game. Yes, I did beat it. I'm pretty sure. It's either that or Tales of Rise. Yeah, I beat Scarlet Nexus. Yes, I did. And I'm playing through the second playthrough. Right, that's what I was hesitating. I'm playing through the second playthrough. I guess I will highlight this as another like big highlight for me. It's technically the longest game or the most hours I put into a brand new game this year. So I really did enjoy it. Actually, you know what? No, the reason I'm not gonna give it to it is because it has no black characters in it, and I don't like that. We're gonna give it to Spiritfarer instead. Spiritfarer is man. Spiritfarer is a meaningful game. Like it's just man, it hits you. It hits you hard. I highly recommend it. Um, yeah, man, that it is a meaningful game. Like it's a game that matters. Um, it deals with death because you are the Spiritfarer. So you are the person who takes all of these people to like basically the beyond, right? You take these spirits, they have passed in the afterlife, and they reflect about their life and the things that they did, and you have to take care of them. You have to provide food for them. You have to provide shelter for them. You're on this ship, and then at a certain point, they're like, "I'm ready to go. Like, take me to the gate." And man, it hits you. Like some of these spirits, they just go, and I'm just like, I wasn't ready to let you go yet. And it's like you're my friend now. I want to keep you with me, but I have to let you go. And the thing is, it's it's up to you to let them go. Like they trust you to make that decision. Like when you're ready, take me here, let me go. And man, it just boy, it matters, man. I had it more than any other game. I think Spiritfarer deserves your time or deserves your perusal. Tales of Rise, it's cool. I haven't finished it. Again, does have black characters in it. That's what turned me off the most. So yeah, whatever. Tales of Kenzara Zao. Listen, this is actually, you know what? Maybe I'm in a melancholic mood this year because this one is also about death and letting go. Different approach to Spiritfarer, but very similar themes. Yes, I beat it. Yes, I recommend it. And nah, it was cool. It was cool. It was good to see a game from a black creator, from an African creator, from a black-led studio, I suppose you could say. A game that was deeply rooted in the African heritage and the African way of storytelling and dealing with themes and It's good because we see, we see the Greek deities, we see like Japanese law and deities, we see Indian deities. It's cool to see like something that's pulled from, like, I think it's Kenya that it is pulled from, their belief system, their roots. It's good. That's what we see by more voices in gaming. There's a lot of disingenuous conversation around this game about the authenticity of it, about the, whether it is DEI or not, the legitimacy of it, and all of that is just BS talk from grifters, from people who hate to see black voices or voices that are not, you know, the voices of people that look like them. But the thing is, listen, if you are white, and especially if you're a white straight man, the whole world will educate us to you. Representation isn't a danger to you. It isn't an affront to you. It isn't trying to replace you. There are just other voices that are just as important as yours, and those need to be heard too. But thankfully, you don't have to hear them. If you don't like Tales of Kenzera, then don't play it. But it is a deeply meaningful game. I really, really enjoyed it. And I would encourage you guys to take a look at it if you are curious, because that's what we want. At the end of the day, we want more voices in gaming, even if you don't necessarily agree, So that's simply that. The Gardens Between. This one is an Australian studio again, so I guess I had some good Australian representation. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's an Australian studio, and they made a very simple, nice, puzzly game. It's like about rewinding time and everything like that. Nice, puzzly. It's not really necessarily about death, but I think it is about letting go because you grow up over time, But it's cool. It's a little bit like Flower. I kind of, if you like Flower, I think that you will like this. My client has successfully updated apparently. Okay, let's continue. The Gardens Between. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is by Obsidian, and it's a Bethesda-like game. And I think, in my humble opinion, it is a better Bethesda space game than Starfield was. However, it still shows the limitations of the Bethesda-like game design. First of all, the art style and the technical acuity of the game is a little bit on the low side for me. From a renowned studio, I expect a little bit better than the presentation I was given. Number two, the style of storytelling is all about the obfuscation, or rather the illusion of choice. You often don't really have a choice, or even when you do have a choice, one is clearly better than the other, like one is clearly the way that you should go. The game doesn't go as far as a Quantic Dream game, for example, as to trying to truly cater for bad decisions and everything like that. So it is what it is. If you like Bethesda's style of game design, I think you will like this game more than Starfield, and in that way, I can recommend it. If you don't like the Bethesda style of game design, I don't think that this game is going to offer you anything that's suddenly going to make you like it. So it is good though. It's a good game. Like it's one of those good double A games. That's what it is. It's a good double A game, and if you're just looking to shoot, have a little bit of story, have some companions, yeah, just go ahead, shoot your way, have a little bit of story, and get some companions. So that is what it is. Okay, and then finally Tunic. Tunic I didn't beat because I thought that the combat system was too unresponsive. I feel like there's a delay between my input and what it is I'm trying to do, and I just never fully felt in control of my character. I think another one that I played like Tunic was actually that Death's Door game. I think I played it this year, but maybe it was last year since it's not in this list. But that one I had very similar concerns with. So I don't think I'm gonna finish it, but it was cool while I played it. Okay, so over here, here's a list of everything again arranged kind of like about what I spend the most time in. Scarlet Nexus, Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver I recommend extremely. I'm not sure if I really talked about how wonderful Dave the Diver is, but Dave the Diver is great. So there it is. Spiritfarer, man, Spiritfarer has to be like one of my number one recommendations. Astrobot. Astrobot was amazing, man. Astrobot is great. In fact, Astrobot might be like the most AAA games I've played in this list. Uh, yeah, I actually think so. It is the most AAA game I played this year. So I truly stepped away from, I suppose, the Stellar Blades. Even though I played the demo, the Final Fantasy Seven Rebirth and everything like that, like the truly big AAA titles that came out this year. Those went and kind of passed me by, obviously on purpose or by design and everything like that. But I've really enjoyed gaming this year, man. I don't know. I feel like for myself personally, this year was a great year to get in touch with indies and smaller studios. You take a look at a lot of these games that I have in this list, and a lot of them come from indie studios, smaller developers. So it was really, really good to actually make the time for that. So I feel extremely fulfilled. And it was also really great, I think, in terms of like, these are games that don't that for the most part, for most of them, the hardware performance was good. 60 frames per second easily on these games, things like that. Um, I look forward to the PlayStation 5 Pro, where I will be able to now have a backlog of these existing AAA games that will inevitably get PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced, and therefore I will be able to experience them, at the best fidelity that I can get on console. So that will be really, really good. Yeah. So I don't know. I think, like I said, I really enjoyed gaming this year. For this totality of this list, if I was only to consider these games over here alone, that would be 521 hours. Of course, this doesn't include the games that I may have already played before, like Horizon Forbidden West, but I still think I put like 20 plus hours into Forbidden West this year alone. This would include things like Gran Turismo and some such. So yeah, now it was a good year for gaming. Broadly speaking, more than just myself, I think that this year is it's an interesting one because I think it has been one of those years that just keeps on keeping on. Like, it just gives you great games that are not necessarily like Elden Ring or The Last of Us Part 2, or what is it? Cyberpunk 2077. Those games that kind of suck up all of the attention for a whole moment. I don't think we've necessarily had that this year. I think for the Chinese players, they had that in Black Myth Wukong. So they were able to enjoy that. Of course, it's their culture, their representation, so that's fantastic for them. But I think over here, from what I've seen, every game kind of just came, took a little bit of space, took a little bit of air, but was actually quite polite about it. This would have been a great year for Horizon to come out, wouldn't it? Because there wouldn't be this big, gigantic titan of the industry that just came in and took all the attention for themselves. So yeah, that was funny. Oh, I should play the what is it? I should have put Horizon Forbidden West: The Burning Shores in here as well because I think that was this year. Maybe. I think so. Whatever. But yeah, it was a good year for gaming, and I think broadly speaking, it was a good year for gaming overall. Lots of games came this year, and it was one of those years that was just quietly good. If you're a PlayStation fan, you had lots of exclusives from first and third party that were again just kind of like quietly good, just like a steady diet of like something between an 8 and 9 out of 10. Nothing outsized, nothing that like made everyone stop and be like whoa. But still, Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy, maybe Rebirth was kind of like that. But I feel like impact wise, it didn't have as much landing weight as I think people expected Rebirth to have. I think Rebirth is one of those things where it's like you see the plane and it's colossal. It's an A380, but then when it lands, when it touches down, it's just like a that's it. It doesn't land with the whole that you would imagine. The impact is not felt as heavily, but that doesn't mean that the plane is any less good. So I look forward to playing things like Final Fantasy 16, which I still haven't played, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I still have games in my backlog. I have games on my backlog from ages ago. I still haven't played Gran Turismo. Sorry, not Gran Turismo. Grand Theft Auto 5. And Grand Theft Auto 6 is around the horizon. So yeah, you could definitely say that I should play that. It was a fun year this year. Let's talk a little bit about game of the year though, because actually let's bring by the list. So my game of the year is Astrobot. That's my personal most favorite game of the year. Then after that, I'm going to have to say Spiritfarer. By the way, I was talking about it. Then it will be Dave the Diver. Then it will be Tales of Kenzera, and then it will be Omno. So those will be like my top five games that I've played this year that I've really enjoyed this year, and it's good to see that all of them I've beat. And I think I got a platinum in most of them. So definitely platinum Astrobot. Yes for Dave the Diver as well. Yes for Omno. No for Spiritfarer. I don't have the platinum in that one. And then yes for Tales of Kenzara. Yeah. The thing with Spiritfarer is that you get the platinum. You either have to save at a specific point in order to be able to see two sides of the same decision, or you have to do a new playthrough, which I think is like that's a really bad trophy to have because it's just the one trophy that you have to do that for. But when I'm playing the game, I don't want to be thinking like, oh, I need to like save scum at this point in order to be able to come in and unlock the trophy for the other decision. So there's the trophy itself is whether you snitch or not on or on a character. And if you snitch, you get one trophy. If you don't snitch, you get the other trophy. But again, if you don't know that when you're playing, it's actually quite far into. It's not like a starting character where you're just like, yeah, if I play the first 4 hours, I get a trophy. No, it's like 30, 40 hours down the line. That's when you get to make this choice. So that's why I don't have the platinum. And while I enjoy getting platinums, I'm not going to kill my way and kill my enjoyment of gaming over a platinum. So it is what it is there. So, but yeah, those would be my recommendations, or at least my ranking for the games that I've played. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about things and people that are not just me. Okay, so over here I've got an article from Polygon, and all I wanted to talk about are potential Game of the Year games, the front runner, and I'm just going to give you my opinion on these. Obviously, I haven't played most of these games, so take my opinion with a grain of salt if you want. This is just a simple discussion amongst friends, okay? We're just going to talk about games. I'm not going to tell you whether you should buy it or not, whether you should like it or not. I'm not giving a rating on the game or ranking of the game. I have opinions on the games, and we're just going to share them. That's what we're doing, okay? So don't read into it. Astrobot. Listen, I don't think that Astrobot should be nominated as Game of the Year. It's my personal Game of the Year. I just think that it's a platformer. And at the end of the day, platformers are niche products. And I feel like Game of the Year should be for something a little bit less niche, maybe. But then It Takes Two is a co-op game. It's a platformer game. And that one was nominated for Game of the Year. So I guess I'm kind of like 50-50. It is what it is. I can fully see it being nominated for Game of the Year. But again, it's very rare, and you can claim that it shouldn't be, and I wouldn't fight you on it. So Astrobot is cool. Metaphor ReFantazio, I fully disagree with this game being nominated for Game of the Year. I don't understand how this game has like a 95 or a 96 or a 92, whatever 90 plus Metacritic rating it has. This game has the visuals and the technical accuracy of a PlayStation 3 game. And I hate it. I hate the thing inside all of humans that just makes them so hypocritical. How is it that on one hand, you can take a game like Ghost of Yotei or Horizon or any other game where people really, really try to bring you a beautiful world. Things like, what was that game? A Plague Tale Requiem. Games that really try to improve the graphics from the first one to the second, so you feel that improvement, you feel the studio maturing, you feel them put more effort into the world. And then you go to a game like Metaphor, and this is literally the same technical performance and accuracy as Persona 5. And yet you literally get praised by the industry when you will lambast or land-based, whatever you say it, another game or another franchise, and then people tell me, oh, it's because we don't expect Atlas to do this. Well, why not? Why not? Why are we giving Bethesda, Atlas, and some of these other studios just excuse after excuse? Like, you take a look even at like Monster Hunter Wilds, like even Capcom is trying to put their best foot forward. You take a look at Silent Hill 2, like they made a remake and it looks good. Like, why can't we have a good looking game? The art style goes far, yes, but it's like nothing else goes far. You know, you take a look at a game like Clear Obscure Expedition 33, and I'm not saying that it has to do all of like the real time thing where you go like parry and block, but can we have attack animations that just don't take make believe, where a person isn't just like swinging a sword in the air and they have like a orange slash, and then that is like, ooh, you hit him. Like, what can we actually get animations and characters like? That's the thing that I like about Clear Obscure. It's like when you actually make an attack, your character actually runs up, actually is animated, the enemy is animated as well, and it's just like this metaphor game is stuck in time. It would have been a great game in the PS3. It would have been top of the line on the PS4. I mean, the PS5 generation, I have to reject it. And yes, I know it's a PS4 game technically, but I just have to reject it. It's been so many years since Persona 5, and these guys, I think they've regressed. I think if you don't push forward, you slide backwards, and they have absolutely regressed. And I wouldn't accept this from anyone. And when I played the next game from your studio, when there are many years between your games, I need to see an improvement. I just do. I refuse to accept that Atlas can just get away with this. This is literally my issue with Starfield and Bethesda, and the fact that they won't let go of this engine. And a lot of people have come around to Bethesda and be like, yeah, get rid of the creation engine. Yeah, give us more performance. Yeah, give us visuals that are better. Give us this, give us that. Like, a lot of people have now come to it and be like, yeah, we deserve better from Bethesda. But then with Atlas, the people just, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. It's like, I know it has a good story. I know it has good characters. Yes, it's a great thing that it kept the strong points from Persona 5. But why couldn't it look better? And no, I'm not talking about the art style. No, I'm not saying that the art style should be photorealistic. I'm not saying that. There are plenty of great looking games that are not photorealistic at all. Take a look at oh god, what's that game? The da 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 da. Da. Nah, that's gonna annoy me. You know what? Give me 1 second. I'm going to find that game because it is the one game that I wanted to compare this to, and it's the one based in Weathershall. You know what? We're just gonna search live, okay? Weathershall. Okay, Disco Elysium. Okay, so you take a look at Disco Elysium. Whatever. We just go world. Whatever. We just click on this. We'll mute it. You take a look at this game. Take a look at this game. Look at that. It has nothing to do with photorealism. It's a clearly stylized game, but I just find the world so beautiful. Look at the world. Look at the technical acuity. Look at the rendering. Look at the lighting. Look at the fact that it's actually lit. Like, this is actually a world that is like made for something that is close to this generation. At least the PS4. It's actually animated. It's actually beautiful. And it has nothing to do with photorealism. And I just hate the excuses that are slung at you. You're like, hey, this game should look better. They're like, oh, you just want everything to look photorealistic. You just want everything to be Horizon. You just want everything to be Death Stranding. And it's like, no, I enjoy different art styles as well. Yes, I enjoy different RPGs as well. You saw the games that I played this year. But take a look at this game. Why can't Atlas do this? Animate shit. I get so annoyed because people always want to pretend that all you are is a person that, oh, you only like AAA games, and it's like, no. And again, this game, the reason I chose it is because this is also heavily text based, but you know what, it also has voice acting. Every single line is voice acted, and yes, when it came out, it didn't have that. Okay, but then they did the director's cut version where everything is voice acted, even though there's text. They went through all of the lines of dialogue. This is a studio that only made one game. Atlas has had how many games? But people don't ask any better. Like, yeah, you're just supposed to read text in 2024. I don't mind reading text. I don't mind reading books. I spent this year reading like 5 Brandon Sanderson novels. I don't mind reading. But again, from a studio, I need to see an improvement. And if brand new indie studios, because this is an indie studio, if brand new indie studios can take the time to go back and animate and voice act everything, because that is just more enjoyable when you have the voice acting behind the lines and doing the delivery. I don't understand why people are giving Atlas this pass. I don't think they deserve it. I don't think it's okay. I don't think they should be Game of the Year. I don't think they should be 90 plus rated. At best, they should be in the 80s, low 80s. Because these technical limitations, because that's what voice acting, the and lack of animation, the world that looks super ugly, it's just, it's garbage. It's a garbage. It's not, the game itself isn't garbage, but the excuses that the industry is giving this, that attitude, that hypocrisy is garbage. I absolutely hate it, and I just don't think that this game needs to be there. I don't think it innovates in any way, shape, or form from Persona 5. It doesn't innovate in gameplay. It doesn't innovate in technical presentation, whether that's visual or audio. It doesn't innovate in storytelling. It is a sidestep from Persona 5. It could have been released the same year as Persona 5, and that will still make a lot of sense. It's just like I've said before, there's Persona 5.5, but that point 5 is too much. It's more like Persona 5.1. That's what it is, and that's disappointing when there's been this much time, and when other studios that are literally indie studios, some of those are like, I don't know, 6-man studios, they have put more effort into their projects. We need to hold Atlas to a higher standard. The game itself is what it is, but the hypocrisy behind it, the lack of standards being upheld, the excuses, the fact that people suddenly don't care whether something is voice acted well or not. I'm just like, piss off, man. Like, this industry is really cooked, because we can never say what we want. We can never say what we want. Well, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Again, I played the demo for this one. What I didn't like about this game is the technical performance. I think that this game, again, I played it, and I just want to make something clear, okay? Let's go full screen for this. I'm not the Digital Foundry fan. I don't like Digital Foundry. I don't watch their videos. I don't need them to zoom in 500% to give my opinion. I don't need them to validate my opinion. When I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the demo, on my screen, and when I went to performance mode, it was a drastic reduction in performance. I didn't need anyone's approval to tell me that. So I knew I was going to buy this game until at least the PlayStation 5 Pro was out, or until the PlayStation 6. At the end of the day, I don't owe people a play. I don't have to buy it the day it comes out. And I was super disappointed by Fantasy VII Remake, because when I went to play the Fantasy VII Remake demo, it was tremendous. It was fantastic. And that whole area was great. But then when I went into the open world of Fantasy VII Remake, with those textures that would never load and how ugly that looked, I felt cheated, because this was a game that I bought day one. And I was like, wait, the presentation that you gave to me is what I thought I was going to get for the entire game. That's why I was so excited about it, because it was so beautiful. Even on the PlayStation 5, Fantasy VII Remake, some of the sections in Sector 5 or 7 or wherever the hell we were, they just look awful. They just look awful. They look unpolished compared to the starting mission that you get to play. So with Fantasy VII Rebirth, I already had my shield halfway up. I was like, boy, I am not going to get duped again into a poor technical performance just because you gave me like the first area looking really, really good. So Fantasy VII Rebirth is a game that I will play eventually, and yes, it deserves all of its accolades. I don't have an issue with that. But the technical performance is, I think, what has kept it from being like in the high 90s, and I think that is deserved. But I do look forward to playing it, hopefully on the PlayStation 5 Pro. But I mean it when I say I'm gonna be careful before I buy this game, because I don't want to be got again. And I feel like, again, the media with Final Fantasy VII Remake, the previous version, they didn't indicate to people like, hey, the technical performance you're seeing in the first mission, the visual fidelity, that isn't everywhere in the game. It was a rude awakening. It was a bad surprise. Okay, to find myself playing the game just a little bit later on and being like, wait, why does this look so much worse than what you presented before? So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you have, my respect, but I might wait until PlayStation 6 Pro anyway. Like, I still haven't played GTA 5, so it's like I don't mind waiting for games. Or maybe I play it when it comes to PS Plus, because yeah, I was pissed off. I was pissed off with Remake, the fact that I paid all of that money on day one and I didn't get visual presentation. And you guys know visual presentation matters to me. It really, really does, as well as audio. But at least the music and the audio in FF7 has been great. Balatro, I have no idea what this is, so I'm just gonna skip it. Legend of Zelda, great. I'm just gonna skip that. Silent Hill 2. This one was a surprise, wasn't it? I think it surprised everyone. Bloober Team didn't really do anything to endear themselves in the gamers' minds. People have been enjoying this. I've looked at the technical presentation of it. I like it. I don't do horror games, so I let other people talk. I'll talk about how well it is. But from what I have heard, all of the Silent Hill fans, all of the horror fans have really enjoyed this game and this presentation. So fantastic for that. Let's see other games. Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma is not the game that I enjoyed when I played it the first game. I didn't play much of it and I just wasn't really into it. Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't really seem like it did anything to address my concerns when it was compared to the first game, but people have enjoyed it, so it is what it is. Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is a game that I personally was looking forward to. I just I just thought that Sony should have made it so that it didn't require PlayStation Plus to enjoy this particular game online, because it is their game on their own platform and they're also offering it on PC, and over there the online is free. And I just thought, you know what? No, you can't be treating your own customer base worse than you're treating some other customer base. And I decided not to pay for this game. If I ever play this game, it will be because it is a gift, because it's on Deep Sell, or because it's on part of PlayStation Plus. I am not paying with my own money for this game because I do not support this practice. And at the end of the day, you have to speak with your wallet. So that's why I haven't played this game. I think it will be a fun, tremendous, amazing game, but I just cannot abide this notion that PlayStation gamers are being treated worse, are being given a worse deal than PC gamers are. And that has nothing to do with PC gamers. I'm not saying that they should charge online on PC. I'm saying that they should not charge for online on PlayStation for this game. Again, not for any other game, this game specifically. Okay, Animal Well. A form from Animal Well. Okay, cool. Like if you like 3D beat era things, whatever. Like I don't care. I'm not gonna talk about UFO. What is it? Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I've never been into the Yakuza Like a Dragon series. It is what it is. Black Myth Wukong. I'm actually really glad this game exists. I don't think it's for me because I don't like Souls-like games. It was this year when I finally played. What was it? I played a few demos this year. You know, I played the whole Pinocchio one. What is that? The Life of Pi or something? And is it The Life of Pi? No, no. Why am I? Why do I say that? It's The Lies of P. Right, Lies of P, Life of Pi, The Lies of P, right? Sorry, that just took me out. Yeah, when I played the Lies of P demo, and then recently I played the AI Limit. I don't like Souls-like games. It's not the difficulty that bothers me; it's the tediousness. I find them extremely tedious. Tedious in two key ways. Number one, gameplay isn't responsive. I don't like animation. I guess when the game does have animation canceling, so I can't just dodge roll. Or like I put a few inputs like 5 seconds ago and now you're forcing me to finish through those inputs. I don't like it. It makes the game feel sluggish and unresponsive to me. I like a much faster pace, much more precise, much more instantaneous response for my games because I want to be able to engage with your combat system. The second thing is that if I die, I don't want to have to run through the level again. I just don't. I don't like it. It wastes my time. Every second that I have to get back to the boss just to die because I'm pissed off. Now I'm dying in like 30 seconds. Now I have to run again through 90 seconds just to get back and die again in 10 seconds because I'm more pissed off than I've been the previous 2 times. I hate it. It's not for me. I hate it every single time. I try to still have AI limit, but it doesn't make me enjoy the game. Like, and you know, the funny thing is that when I see people play this game, because I watch gameplay of other people with these games, because I'm just like, wait, maybe it's me. Maybe there's something in there that would like make me want to play. Like I've watched gameplay of Elden Ring. I watched gameplay of The Lies of P. You know, apparently not enough to remember the title. I even watched gameplay of AI Limit and some other Souls-like games. And I'm just like, maybe there's something worth persevering for, worth pushing for. And you know what I realized all of them do? Every single one of them, when they die, right, and they know the path back to the boss, they just run past all of the other enemies. So what is the point then in throwing them back up there and putting 20 people in front of them if they're just gonna run past them? Hmm? Why not just spawn them in front of the boss? Because at the end of the day, that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna engage and re-engage these 20 enemies every single time. It doesn't even make sense. You penalize them for doing that because if they make any mistake fighting those enemies, now they have less potions, less resources to take to the boss, right? And this is actually something that is also true for Metaphor Refantasia. When you take a look at Persona 5 or Metaphor, doesn't really matter, right? You have dungeons that are filled with so many enemies, right? And the amount of XP that it gives you by comparison isn't really that worth it. And so when I'm watching people play Metaphor a little bit further on, because I was really trying to be like, again, I'm trying to be like, is it just me? About how people engage in this game? But I had the same thing in Persona 5, and Persona 5 is a game that I fully beat. I think I platinumed it, but I'm not too sure, but I think I did. But I put like 150 hours into Persona 5. Very quickly, I learned that there really wasn't a point in fighting every enemy. In fact, it was just better to just get the job done and just run past everyone. So sometimes there'd be entire levels where I'm just running past enemies. And I realized that Atlas games are artificially inflated to make you think that they're actually providing more content than they are. But really, it's like the places are just unnecessarily big. I remember I was playing through the Space Palace. I'm not sure, which one it is. I think it's at the fourth palace that you go to. But it's like in a spaceship or whatever. And he had like something like 4 levels. And I was like, you know what? This could have just been 2. This could have just used 2 levels. That's really all you needed to do. And then you had to do like things like unlocking doors. And I was just like, you're just wasting my time now. And Metaphor does the same thing because Alice hasn't improved it whatsoever. But the same criticism I have for Souls-like games, when you make me spawn 3, 4, 5 minutes away from where the boss was, I just want to run past everything. I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to get to the boss and do the thing that I need to do and see the next part of the game. So yeah, Souls-like games don't really love. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I think Stellar Blade will probably be the only exception that I make simply because I love the combat system in there. But yeah, I just Souls games, Souls-like games, I find them tedious. And again, it's not so much about the difficulty because I don't mind difficult games. I don't mind learning a game, but yeah, those are just my quick thoughts on that. Okay, anyways, let's get back to the list. Okay, let's talk about what game I think is going to win Game of the Year. So if I had to choose, okay, I'm gonna tell you what I would choose if I was voting on the panel. Which game should be Game of the Year out of this list? The first one I'm gonna take is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Okay, taking the technical performance aside, which I think will be alleviated by PlayStation 5 Pro. I think this game just it's a big epic game, and I think that's exactly the type of game that should be Game of the Year. It should be a big meaty game where you can be there for like hundreds of hours. It has lots of mini games. It has a great story that's already proven because this is a remake after all, even though I know that they're changing a few elements. Voice acted, animated. It actually has cutscenes and things like that that are good. Good graphics. Again, technical performance aside. And yeah, so I'll take this one first. Then I will actually take Astrobot, as kind of like the runner up. Then I would take let's see. I would take Helldivers 2 because it's a multiplayer game, and let's see, let's do five. I would take Black Myth Wukong. Actually, you know what? I'll put Black Myth Wukong above Helldivers 2. Then I would take Helldivers 2 as number four, and then finally number five. What would I take for number five? You know what? Let's get a remake in there. Silent Hill 2. Why not? Let's get a remake in there. So those will be the top five games. I guess the nominees. And out of those five, if you pick any, I think it will be fine. Again, what I like about this year is that not one of these games necessarily took the wind out of the sails of any other game. So they were able to coexist this year, and I just think that I think that's a good year. Like sometimes it's good to have an outright clear, like maybe like top two or top game that is just like undeniable and it's gonna get game of the year. And we might see that next year, especially with GTA 6 coming out. But sometimes the opposite is also nice. Variety is the spice of life. So I actually really enjoyed the fact that this year you just had games that were kind of for everyone. You take a look, my personal feelings aside, you take a look at these games. Astrobot is a platformer. Metaphor Re Fantasio is a JRPG, turn by turn game. Final Fantasy 7 is a JRPG, not so turn by turn. It's kind of a hybrid. Balatro, it's a card game apparently. Legends of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, it's a game for children. Silent Hill, it's a horror and it's a remake. You can take a look at some of these. They're called Dark Horses. Dragon's Dogma 2. It's an RPG, right? Really deep kind of system RPG. Helldivers 2. It's a co-op multiplayer game. Animal Well. It's a retro ugly game. UFO 50. It's a sports game. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This is a JRPG of a fun type. Black Myth Wukong. This is a Chinese action adventure game, which is great. And then you take a look at even at some of the other ones, Satisfactory. I have no idea what that is, but I think it's like a factory, and it might just satisfy people. You take a look at the Plucky Squire. It's a book game. It's again made for children. You take a look at Hades 2, which is an early. I don't know why they have an early access game here, but Hades 2 is a roguelike. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's a flop. And then Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2, it's like a man bro, Doom kind of like, dude bro, go kill them kind of game. You take a look at Dragon Age, this is a delayed game. You take a Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, this is a shooter. Life is Strange, this is a LGBTQI game. Sorry, I actually like Life is Strange. I love Life is Strange. It was just funny. Um, Metal Gear Solid Delta. This is a remake, and then Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is a shooter. So there's just a great variety. And again, I look at any of these games, and I cannot say that anyone, any kind of like enthusiast gamer would have one game stop them from enjoying the experience of any other game. Like it's just they're all coinciding, they're all coexisting. They're not coinciding, they're all coexisting, and they're all offering you a different flavor of something that you might be looking for. So, shout out to 2024. Shout out to 2024 for not necessarily having the big outsized gaming experiences. I feel like in our collective minds, we're going to remember 2023, of course. We're probably going to remember 2025. I think 2025 is going to be the year that defines this generation. Between the PlayStation 5 Pro, which would have been like fully out into the wild by now, sorry, by then, um, and would have had the enhancements and everything, blah 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 blah. They would have been fully part of the just like the gamers experience if they want it, if they choose it. Um, but GTA 6 is gonna be. I mean, that's literally the game of the generation. It might be the game of two generations. The way that Rockstar is taking the time with these games. You take a look at Ghost of Yotei. You take a look at Death Stranding 2. You take a look at games even from the Xbox side. I think Fable might be coming next year. Disavowed, I think it's next year. You just it feels like the industry has been loading the clip, and everyone's going to fire at least one shot. You know, everyone's going to fire at least one shot into the air. Put one hat into the ring, at least one next year. At least one big one. You know, like a real one. GTA 6 is going to be what it is, but it's good to see that if you're not necessarily going to feel like that, you're not necessarily going to go in that direction, you will have great big titles of your own to kind of rally behind and enjoy in the next year. So I think 2025 is going to define next year. So I think that when we are looking back, when we're in the 2030 or whatever, and it's time for the PlayStation 6, because again, I do think that this generation will be extended to 2030. I think it should be extended to 2030. But when we're looking at 2030 and we're looking back, I think we're going to kind of forget about 2024 until someone reminds us, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, that was a really good year. So again, I feel like the top 3 years in this generation, it will definitely be so far, if we're not going to kind of speculate too far into the future. 2020, when the consoles came out, 2023, where we had 2023, and then 2025, where we're going to get GTA 6 and its cohorts. And I feel like, again, 2024 is going to, kind of like live in the shadow of those, but it's going to actually be like, no, I was like really, really good. I was just surrounded by titans. So that's what it is. I think that 2023 was a Titanic year, and 2025 is going to be a colossal year, and 2024 is it's like a really, really good year. And if it was overshadowed by these two on either side, people will actually remember it. But it's been great. It's been an actually great fun year. So I hope that you have found lots of things that you've enjoyed this year. Like just enjoyment all throughout. Because at the end of the day, it's about the games. So yeah. Let me know what you have played. Let me know what you think about the game of the year discussions and discourse. Let me know anything related to these topics, or maybe there's like a video that you want me to do. I think I was actually interested in doing some videos around kind of like the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, but we are only 2 weeks away from this thing basically being out into the wild, and while I will not necessarily be buying it on day one, I think that we're going to get lots of impressions from gamers that will be able to form, an educated opinion, through the eyes of the millions of people that will be able to get their hands on the PlayStation 5 Pro. So it's kind of like a wait and see approach. We don't have to talk about it to death. We're just going to wait. It's going to come out. We're going to see the reaction and what people say. It will be in a open public environment now. So that's going to be fun. Okay, I'm not going to dilly-dally here. I'm going to wish you a good day, good night, whatever it is. Whatever it is, I hope you do good. I hope you are doing good. And you should just be a good person. And you should drink chocolate or something. Do something nice for yourself. Have a treat, or eat carrots. Whatever floats your boat. Just go ahead, do something nice for yourself because you probably deserve it. Or if you don't deserve it, go ahead and do something nice for someone else and let them have it and tell them that you love them or something. I don't know. Just be a good person, okay? It's not that hard. Be a good person and figure out how that goodness should come out. That's my advice here. All right, ciao.